Hi, my name is Taso Comanescu and welcome to EliteGuitarist.com. Today I'll be teaching you a traditional Irish slip jig entitled Spatter the Do, arranged by the famous Scottish guitarist David Russell. And I'll be using this wonderful 2018 Michel Blair, inspired by Daniel Friedrich. It's a cedar top, and it's from our good friends at Guitar Salon International. So Spatter the Do. This Irish slip jig is in 9/8, meaning there are 9/8 notes per measure as opposed to the normal 6/8. So you can think of it in groups of three notes per beat, or as we get faster and you raise the tempo on your metronome, you can think of it as one major downbeat per measure. So 3 beats per measure or one major downbeat per measure, or a combination of both. This is a really famous arrangement by, as I mentioned, David Russell, and it features a really cool improvised sounding intro and ending, as well as some technically, as they say, dazzling variations from bar 32 forward. This is a great piece for any intermediate or advanced guitarist. And for those of you playing concerts, it works great as an encore or paired in a set with a few of the other arrangements found in Celtic Music Volume 1 by David Russell. In fact, for myself, I remember the first time I heard this piece, I was perusing the classical guitar section in my local Barnes & Noble about a decade ago, and I came across this album and I listened to the sample of it, and this was the first track, and I was completely blown away thinking, wow, how cool is this? And so I still to this day draw inspiration from this piece, and I'm really happy, along with all of us elite guitarists, to share this with you all. In this particular tutorial, the primary focus for the right hand will be proper fingerings to facilitate speed and consistency, because many of the parts repeat themselves in different combinations throughout the piece, because it is a theme and variation. So you need to get your right hand down, you need to commit to fingerings, and I'll share mine and give you some tips on how you can find what works for you. Now for the left hand, we'll go over a few slurs and position shifts from left to center position to right position, and I'll explain what that means, to facilitate some of the quicker passages in the piece. Some of the additional concepts that I'm going to cover is ornamentation, how to take a line that you've heard a few times and make it more interesting, and also colors, playing, closer to this side of the guitar, over the sound hole, or closer to the neck, and you get a more dolce sound, and then also playing, of course, closer to the bridge and getting a more ponticello sound. Okay? Ornaments are a character of folk music, and I actually got to have a lesson with David Russell a couple years ago on one of the other pieces in Celtic Music Volume 1, and I asked him about why he plays these pieces differently now in concert when you see his videos on YouTube and whatnot, as opposed to his recording. And I remember him saying something along the lines of, well, it's folk music, it's not Bach, you can do it differently. And so I encourage everyone to experiment with their own ornamentation, come up with cool stuff, listen to Irish or Celtic music, and you'll get some really cool ideas. You'll notice too that I have a capo on the 1st fret, and we're in drop D. So you want to lower your 6th string down a full step to D, and then throw this capo on at the 1st fret, and you want to make sure that it's straight. Oftentimes people put their capo on, it's a little off angle. You want to have it straight, similar to the saddle bone right here, to essentially raise the guitar by a half step. So I'll be speaking as if the guitar wasn't capo 1, and everything will sound a half step up. So I'll be using the terms E minor and D major, but it would really sound like F minor and D sharp major, if that makes any sense. One of the first things that you want to be able to do is take your index finger on your left hand, this is your 1st finger, and bar the lower 3 strings, the bass strings, at the 2nd fret, okay? And then pluck them with your right hand, P-I-M. Okay, it's a power chord, for those of you that like rock. But you have to be able to do that, and almost literally, the joke is spatter your index finger so that your knuckle, if you look here, my knuckle on the 1st finger of my left hand is pushing into the string, but I'm curving the rest of my hand up so I can play the open strings and make an E minor chord like that. So it's not a bar, it's just a half bar, but on the lower 3 strings. You have to be able to do this. If you can't do this, don't learn this piece. But since you want to learn this piece, spend some time working on it. I suggest just starting at the low E string and then slowly putting pressure across the bass strings until you're almost going to touch the G string, and then angle your hand up with your wrist away from you like this. And just sit there and practice that. Drop your left hand, bring it back up, to the point where you can bring your left hand up, find the fret, and play it without looking at your left hand. Okay, the other thing that you're going to want to work on with the left hand before you begin is even slurs, specifically hammer-ons, okay? So you can go to the second position here, and you can use your second and fourth finger, and you can just practice hammering on like this, up and down the neck, and you can go 1, 3, like this, 3, 4, 1, 4, so on and so forth, 1, 3, and then vice versa, 4, 2. Notice how I'm getting that snap. 4, 1, 4, 3, okay, 3, 1, and then also 3, 2. And go up and down. I don't have time to demonstrate all of the combinations and all the strings, but basically you get the idea. This is very, very important, because if you're going to play quick lines, especially the scalar articulated runs, when you throw in slurs, it helps with the right hand, and it also keeps the line even. And it helps with accenting too when you want to add weight on different things. So this is the technical stuff for the left hand that you want to practice. I'll show you some tips for the right hand when we get a little further about arpeggios and runs and all that kind of stuff. So that's the basis for Spatter the Dude. Let's jump into the piece now.